Hello my fellow gamers and welcome once again to Perafilozof City Skylines videos. In this one I'll be continuing to build up the city in which I plan to reach 1 million population on the hard mode. I have almost filled up the last of the third tile that I've built up here. The population is up to 132,000. I played a little bit off screen because I was just toying around with some of the extra zones that I haven't used before. For example, in the areas where the industry was 2 by 2 zones, like here, I added more commercial in between those zones so that I would open up more jobs. You can see that I'm now at jobs available 71,800 while I have 68,000 workers, so around 3,800 open jobs. As I've noticed that as more open jobs I have, the more teams want to move in. My number of teams who move in per week goes even above 200 plus, so I definitely see that I'm increasing the number of teams. Now they aren't maybe filling up these areas as I would love them to or like them to, because they're leaving up a lot of these empty spots, but since they have filled up almost the entire part of this here, still a lot here to be filled up, I was thinking about moving this district over to the left, because this district differentiates from this one by having a tax raise instead of a tax relief, and the high-tech housing policy to increase the level of the homes. So I've been thinking of adding this area into this district, which I will do right now. This will indeed make these homes level up, as they have already started to do. It will also bring in more taxes. It may slow down the new homes from being built here, but there isn't much left to be built here anyway, so it would be fine for this district to start paying more taxes and to have the extra high-tech housing policy online. Over here I am left with a problem. I forgot to maybe place more incinerators here on the edge, but when I look over here I can see that I have 20 plus thousand more capacity left with all the incinerators that I already have in the city turned on, and I have a few spots where I could have a third one as well, for example here, and probably down here as well, so I wouldn't worry too much about not having incinerators in this corner. The power that comes online from here is going to be necessary only when I expand to another part. Now in a moment I will explain to you where do I plan to expand and how, but before that I just need to finish up building up zones here. I was left with residential, after which I was thinking whether or not to add a little bit more. These were 3 deep, so I was thinking about adding one more area for good measure here, like this, and then after that just some commercial buildings, and at the end of the zone I could use some offices. Now the problem is that at some point I will have to get these streets below these highways, and it's probably gonna require tearing down a lot of these highways because the pillars are in the way. I mean, the pillars can be moved by using that little bit of a trick I showed you before, where if you take a street and build off of a highway, it will move the pillar to a side, and then you can put a street underneath that highway. But sometimes it's hard if you have a ramp close by. Let me try this again. See, now the pillar has moved. I can extend this street down here, then delete this and put the ramp back in, so the cars wouldn't be flying like they are at the moment. But you see the problem? If you want to put a ramp, it requires the highway to create a pillar, so you have to be careful when you're doing this. It creates pillars if you're connecting with a ramp to raised highways. Here there's no problem because there isn't a highway ramp, so the pillar can be easily moved by placing straight onto the highway. So this buys me a few more zones. Can I get anything here? Not even sure could I get a straight through here, but let's try. Yeah, that didn't do anything. Alright, I guess I can live with just 2 by 4 offices here. The rest are gonna be a little bit bigger. And is the district expanded all the way here? Yes, it is. I should have enough water capacity and enough power capacity, so that should be fine. Population is almost up to 133,000, so it's excellent that my city is expanding once more. And since I've just filled up the last of the zonable areas, I was thinking about creating a new area over here. I have been thinking about of an area here, but there's a lot of uneven ground that I'm kind of annoyed with. There's also the problem of the train connection, which I would like to straighten through here, but I would have to buy this area as well, so I kind of decided against that. I could create a new area of the city here, but again a highway would have to be straightened to go like this, and then I would have to buy this area, so I gave up on that as well. I was left with maybe this area here, but it's kind of small, so I decided against that and decided to build a new part of the city here. Now, in order to build a part of the city here, I will need to get rid of this diamond and circular shaped interchange and create something different. Now, because the roads are pretty nicely set up here, where I could have highways connecting straight through here, then I could have an interchange here, which would lead these two highways up here, and I could connect the highway going through here, because I think I can use it as a straight line later on through here, or maybe a straight line and then a 90-degree turn here to go over here and connect with this highway here at the interchange, and then these two interchanges would be connected by a small stretch of the highway. Now this will require a lot of work and probably some trial and error, so to reduce the amount of time I will be spending on this, I am going to just speed it up to 8x speed. I know I haven't done that in a while, and I hope you like to see me work, but at a higher speed, because it would take just so much time. And I'm back. Now, a small apology. I kind of started building up on this area, then I was testing it, then I started testing it some more, and I ended up with this. So I actually built a whole new area. Now stop, please don't get annoyed. I am going to show you how I came up with this design, but while building it, and you will notice there is a lot of building it here, and there's a lot of zoning, deciding where services would go. I kind of came to a realization that maybe I should ask you for some advices. I mean, while I was playtesting, I noticed that I could, for example, make a few different interchange ideas here and here. Like I told you that I would connect these two here and these two here. There's also the problem that I found, and I would not have even known if I hadn't tested this, that the cargo harbor can be built up to here, but after this bridge it can no longer be built. And it's not the bridge. I even tried deleting it and then trying to build a cargo harbor here, but it seems that either the river is too shallow or there isn't even a connection for the cargo harbor up here. So it's possible that there's just no possibility of building a cargo harbor here because there's no connection to be made to the outside world. So the cargo harbor can go up to here, and that is it. So I had to get a cargo train station here in order to be able to supply the industry, which is owned every now and then here with the cargo station's influence. But then I had to make this circular interchange, however you want to call it, so that the trains can go through here, because they're coming off of here, going over here, going over here, and I wasn't even sure whether or not should I do that or just use the cargo harbor here. But the cargo harbor is here, and I was thinking of starting to build up the city from here. So there's that problem. There was also the problem of how exactly do I connect now this new highway that's going through here and over here, and even small part of it here. I'm leaving this part for the additional water treatment plants. How to connect this highway with the previous highways, and how to connect the old parts of the city with this new part. Over here, I was thinking about having streets like this that would go below the highway. I had raised the highway that was a part of the previously built city, and the one next to it is also raised, so the streets can go below it. I have placed several of these cross streets below the highways, which are connecting these two parts of the city. But I also had to find a way how to get the traffic on and off these highways. For example, here I have highway off-ramps that lead onto a highway street highway ramp, a street made out of highway ramps that leads onto the other side, and from there it jumps onto the highway. So again, a new design compared to how I built it previously. I did this on several places, so here as well. Then I came up to here and saw that I would not have a way to connect unless I made a direct connection here. And you will probably also notice how my interchanges look like, the one here and the one here. They are pretty much the same. They function in the same way, so the traffic comes in from the bottom. It can turn onto here if it wants to go up. If the traffic coming off of here wants to go to the left or to right, for the right it has a simple ramp here, but if it wants to go to the left, it goes down below this highway, then below this doubly raised highway. It goes down into this ramp, it goes up then and goes into this highway to go over there. If the traffic coming off of here wants to keep going forward, it just keeps going forward. But if it wants to go over there, it has to use this ramp, go onto this part of the raised highway, go below these two and go this way. So the highway interchange is kind of compact. I mean, I could probably make it better. This is just a prototype, and it is totally serviceable. It's getting the traffic wherever it wants to go. I made the same one here. You can see that the guys coming off the right can turn down. Actually, no, they cannot turn from here into here, but they can over here. Yeah, I knew I had a connection somewhere. So they can keep going down here and keep going straight if they want to continue, or they can turn into this ramp, go here and go over here. The one that are coming out from the left can go into this ramp here, go down, or if they wish to continue over here into the city, they just go straight forward. And if they want to go from here up there, they go into this little underpass here, they go through here, they get on this ramp, they go up onto this highway and go up. So all the traffic is serviced by a small number of ramps, and there isn't too much traffic, so there are no stoppages. Now, as for the zones themselves, I've kept up with what I was doing in the previous part of the city. So, industry, offices, commercial, then residential, about 3 to 4 zones, 4x4 zones. Then again, commercial, offices, industry mixed in with commercial, offices, commercial, residential, and so on and so forth. This is leading me to the same amount of empty jobs as I had before, around 3,000 or a bit less than 3,000. So that is making more teams move in. You can see here that I have 142,000 teams that have moved in at the moment. So the number of teams is rising steadily, and I don't have problems like I had in like 10 previous videos where I was inching from like 1,000 per video or even none at all. What? Oh, this is adorable. Check this out. Just so adorable. Anyway, as I was saying, this is leading to a good population increase, and this is like the prototype of how I would build this. I even incorporated the solar power plant and the incineration plant. Like I said, this is just a prototype, and the reason why I jumped you into the future and not showed you how I built this was because I wasn't even sure that what I was building would work. So by the time I got this working, I didn't record everything. So I decided to show you. And the reason why I'm showing you is because I would like to hear your input. I would like to wait before I continue building this for you to tell me if you think that a design like this would work, and if I should continue like this, or do you guys have any ideas how I should change this and make it something different. I guess I can show you the rest of the overlays. The metro stations are gonna go into the middle here, while over here it's gonna be a far wider zone, and I could place two. Or maybe you have another idea, and maybe I should shorten this so that both sides are the same. It's another idea. The bus lines there's one here covering this entire city area, and it will probably go all the way down. And then I will need to add some more that are going to connect it with the old parts of the city. You can see that the car trip saved is 37 for the one that is here. For the policies, I had used the pet ban to keep reducing the amount of garbage accumulated, parks and recreation to increase the land value, tax relief for high-density residential for them to build up faster, and big business manufacturer to earn more from the commercial areas. The buildings are mostly at level 3, although they're very close to going to level 4. The commercial is at level 3, also very close to going, is at level 2, going very close to going to level 3. The office is usually at level 2 as always. There is coverage from elementary schools, from a high school, and there is even coverage from the university, which is very close here. And if you look at this map, this part of the city, you can see that this part of the city has a much better university coverage than it did before with just one university. So it was a good call to turn this one on. Although this one over here, for some reason, still hasn't managed to educate all these teams who live there. While this one here, even though it was brand new, has managed to deal a lot of influence to this part of the city. So, like I said, I wouldn't build one here, but maybe I would build one here once I filled up more of this area. I continued to build fire stations. I really need to keep using the overlay instead of the build options. I built the fire station, also the police headquarters, so this area is well covered. There's also healthcare from a clinic and crematorium for the death care. There is excellent coverage by parks. I also realized one additional fact, that I was kind of overdoing it with the parks where they were right next to each other like this. So I had double coverage of some areas, while in the middle you can see that the coverage is not that good. So I kind of looked at it and tried to turn off some of them. I mean, it's not saving too much money. It's like 60, 70 to 100 per park, but I simply noticed that I was kind of overdoing it with the amount of parks. I mean, look at here, 1, 2, 3 parks all almost next to each other. So I decided against placing parks here on the right right side, just in the middle and on the left. So that would even save me the space for more zoning, and not only save me the money for the income and the expenses, but also the weekly expense is staying positive, quite positive actually, around 10,000 depending on how much tickets I sell for the public transportation, and it is still being used at around 14,000. As I was trying to say, the budget is okay even with the taxes staying at 9% for high density and 11% for low density residential. So basically that would be the overview of how the city looks like. One more thing, I am still unable to drain this lake. You can notice that the tree I set here as a benchmark shows that the lake is still at the same level, even though I'm pumping with who knows how many pumping stations right now, probably close to 20 right now. So it's pretty cool that the lake can supply almost the entire city with fresh water. I don't have to worry about these water treatment plants dumping the treated sewage down into the water pumping stations. In any event, like I said, I want you to give me feedback on how should I proceed. Should I do this? Should I change it? Should I maybe forget about building here altogether and try to build somewhere else? I had bought this part here because I was tearing down the bridge to see if really the cargo harbor would not build up here. So in the actual city, this area is not bought yet. Like I said, it's up to you. I'm going to stop the video here, and I'll give you about 24 hours to tell me how should I proceed and give me your feedback. Thank you all for watching, and please stay tuned for more.